Hi, hello. This is an overview of MyBotGP Docman, a downloadable product that you can use to help support the finding, validation, filing, and triaging to the appropriate team members of Docman. The average practice, 8,000 patients receive somewhere in the region of 100 letters a day. That equates to 31,200 letters a year that your admin team are currently validating and triaging, and MyBotGP will do this for you. The piece that we're not looking at is making clinical decisions as per the documentation, although we can categorize and file and triage to the appropriate person. And it goes without saying that any number of letters as deemed at practice level do not need to be seen by someone, and they can be pushed straight through to the record and not looked at. The logic around our tool is that MyBotGP for Docman works with or without IntelliSense. It operates securely as per ICB requirements, and it will work 24/7, 365 to ensure that all letters are processed. It connects directly to Docman and manages all incoming letters. So that means it can read all PDFs, scan copies. We've also got capability to read emails as well. So every letter type can be picked up, looked at, and reviewed. Now, because you all work differently at practice level and you all have your own protocols in place as to what you do with your letters, MyBotGP has been built so it can replicate that. We're not telling you how to file or offering suggestions on how to file or what to do. We're giving you a tool that enables you to make those decisions yourself. So if you want specific letters to be forwarded to particular coding team or to particular clinicians or to the pharmacy team, or not to be looked at or put into particular folders or distributed in any different way, that can be very quickly set up, which makes it an extremely flexible tool. It will validate all letters in the same way that a person does. It sits on a computer, it uses Docman in the same way that a person does, and will review and validate all letters. It will complete the entire Docman template. As you can see a quick snapshot of that here. It will validate all NHS patients by reading the letter and validating the patient number, document type, and all of the document types. It can categorize the letter by itself, completing all of the fields, which include event date, department, organization, hospital, and clinical code, obviously not to diagnose, create, review, and triage to the appropriate person. Assignment can be made very easily, and it can be changed at any given time. You can have multiple copies or multiple iterations of the same letter can all be picked up. MyBotGP is able to read all of those as well. So bringing it back to what this tool does, if you take an average practice with 8,000 patients that has a total of 31,200 letters per year, it will pretty much remove all of the function of picking up all of the letters, validating all of the patients, validating the letter type, categorizing the letter type, getting it into the record and triaging it, sending it to the appropriate team member or folder for you. It will enforce standardization to remove errors, and obviously it works 24/7, 365, so there's no waiting list, and it's done in real time. Different practices, again, as I touched on before, as you know, have got different approaches to who will make clinical decisions, and that will remain unchanged and is up to you. Goes without saying that something like this must have a very comprehensive audit log, and we do have one. Everything that it touches is audited by date, document type, and there's a granular breakdown of all of the filings. So at any point you can go back in and look and validate what letters have been looked at, how they've been validated, and where they've been triaged to. You actually teach MyBotGP how to do this itself. Every letter it looks at for the first time, it will ask you what to do with it, and you tell it what to do with it. And the second time it sees that letter, it won't ask you what to do because it knows what to do, and it will action it on its own. And then there's a reconciliation point audit log at the end of it. And that's a quick snapshot of what this tool does. It's very quick to download. If acquired at PCN level, every practice can have their own copy. You can replicate your protocols at practice level. If it's acquired at practice level, obviously you can do that as well. And the same applies for federation or for ICB level acquisitions. We're not telling you how you should be filing, what you should be filing, where you should be sending stuff. We're giving you an automation tool, a MyBotGP automation tool that's fit for purpose. covers all NHS prerequisites that you can very quickly have working in the background as a new team member following your protocols to support you, so that you can free that team up to do other work as you have lots of other work to do. Thank you very much. Just coming back to how MyBotGP for Docman is told what to do, here is a snapshot of what it looks like at the practice level. It takes about a minute or so to show it what to do with each letter once, and the second time it sees that letter, it won't ask you again. Here's an example of that letter, of a letter, which one of our clients kindly shared with us. I'll just let this run in the background, and what you're seeing very quickly here is how you validate the letter type. So you're telling it this is in this scenario an ENT letter, an ENT clinic letter. Keyword to look for is ENT clinic letter. Keyword to search for is ENT clinic letter. If you're using IntelliSense, it can supersede IntelliSense, but coming back to validating the patient, as you can see, you're copy and paste patient details in here. You're essentially training it to validate the documents in the same way that your team members are trained to validate. It's the identical process. Once you've shown it where to look on the page for each letter, for each anchor point to validate patient, letter type, categorization, date, and so on and so forth, it will save it in its memory, and it will read every letter that comes in, looking for those anchor points, and then validate it when it sees it. And it's very accurate. Obviously, the final piece, which includes the categorization of the letter, will be where you want it sent, and that's essentially done by you. You'll confirm where you want it triaged to, as I touched on in the quick description earlier on. Here's a couple of seconds of it working, because people like to see automation working. This is our automation kicking in the background, logging in again to an anonymized copy of Docman, and it's basically going to look for the letters, pick up the letters, and validate the letters in the same way that a person does. Anything it doesn't recognize, it will put into a box saying, I haven't actioned this, please tell me what to do. And then what happens is you'll look in that box each day. At the beginning, you'll probably do, well, you will be doing that more. As time goes on, you'll be doing that less. And you'll open up each letter in that box, open it up, show it how to recognize that letter. So the second time it sees it, it won't ask you again. So you'll see those very quickly disappear. And if you think of it from this perspective, from a training perspective, the reality is you would be doing this work anyway. And now you just have to do it once for each letter type, and then you won't have to do it again. So this will run in the background with no one touching it, just doing its own thing, pushing everything through, sending it to the appropriate people, and keeping an audit log for you in the background for your validations. I'm going to stop this video now.